Okay, see if it'll convert for me today. All right, so for those of you in TV land, I do not have my chat turned on. If you want to ask a question, you need to unmute yourself. I cannot see your chats. All right, so yesterday we got started talking about the differences between microanatomy, micro meaning small, versus macroanatomy, large. Yep, just shout them out whenever you can. Macroanatomy or gross anatomy is the anatomy you can see unassisted. Microanatomy, you need some sort of utensil like a microscope. Practicing our med term, always practicing our med term. We talked a little bit, did a howdy do handshake to our different body systems. I won't go over all of those again. I do have, by the way, if you are looking for the last lecture, I have the lectures up to date on YouTube under your playlist. You guys have your own playlist. It says Anatomy and Physiology Royals 2020. So that's your playlist. Now, I think you might be able to see some of the other playlists. Honestly, I have no idea what you can see on my YouTube channel. I have no idea. I should probably go in there and check that. But I have those up, including today's first period lecture. So if you want to go back and review any of the stuff that we've done, every day I'll be updating today's lecture so you can go back. So we went over, oh my goodness, who is this? You have a small child behind you that looks slightly like a tumor. Is it benign? Is it malignant? He's adorable. Oh my God, he's killing me right now.
That's my son, Caden. He was like waving to y'all earlier, but he didn't know that I was unmuted.
We're all I'm gonna come back here so that the owl will follow me. Because he's
Caden, you say hi?
Hi. Back with the owl is gonna follow my voice. Everybody, we're gonna come on, owl. There we go.
Say hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, David.
Yeah, he's watching Monsters, Inc.
Oh, jeez. Let's get you to screen share with us, and we'll just all watch that too. Oh, he's adorable. All right, so we went over all of the systems yesterday, kind of just a very basic overview of each. We did some of your medical terminology. I understand that you guys are into body parts now, external. Fabulous. Who, though, remembers what the medical term, I know you haven't done this in med term yet, but we did go over it yesterday. What's the medical term for stomach? Gastro. If I have inflammation of my stomach, I have a gastritis. Very nice. If, tell me the word for intestines. Starts with E. N. T. E. R. That's it. That's the whole word. Entero. Entero was the word for intestines. That's okay. You'll get there. You'll get there. So why is all of this important? Why do you need to know these terms? Well, as we said yesterday, the whole point of you being technicians is your ability to recognize abnormal. Not only do we need to recognize abnormal based on our foundational knowledge of what normal is. Am I moving the people again? Oh, of course I can move the people. Thank you. How's that? Better? I don't want to be in your picture, but thank you. Not that it matters. I'm literally on YouTube, splashed all over YouTube. Anyway, not only do we need to identify normal and abnormal, we need to be able to convey that information. If I have an animal with a tumor and I'm trying to write the location of the tumor in a file, I need to be able to do that so you coming behind me can simply read my notes and locate that tumor, right? That's very important. If I am assessing a radiograph, it's not an x-ray, remember, I'm going to punch you in the face if you say it's an x-ray. It's a radiograph. And I have a fracture in the distal third of the radius and ulna. You need to be able to know exactly where that is. The distal third would be down here. So we're today going to go over some of this terminology and directional terms and kind of go over and make sure that you guys are comfortable with them. So the first thing we need to do with our animals is we need to divide them up into quadrants. So we have these invisible planes that we can use to separate our animal. We have one plane, now these are imaginary cuts, one plane that cuts the animal down and separates them into a right and a left half. I have one plane that cuts across here and separates the animal into a top and a bottom. And then I have another plane, this is where I feel like I'm a backup dancer doing my dance move. Plane down here, feel like sassy. That separates my back from my front. Now each of these planes does have a name. We're going to talk about that here in a second. We also have our terms. These are going to relate to direction. Most of these terms have an opposite, left and right, back and front. So we're going to talk about these directional terms. Then yes, you're going to do some interpretive dance today. And that is not optional. Just saying. It's just us. And don't you guys in TV land think that you're off the hook? Because guess what we're starting with tomorrow? Interpretive dance. So you guys need to practice. All right, so let's talk about the planes, dividing our animal into different quadrants. The first plane is known as sagittal. This is how we say this word. The G is soft. Sagittal. Sagittal plane is a fancy word for a line that separates the animal into a left and a right side. Now, this line does not necessarily have to be equal division. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if I'm dividing into a right and left half, if I have a line that divides me here, did it divide me into a right and left half? How about over here? Yeah, doesn't have to be equal. However, if I use the term mid-sagittal, medical terminology, what does mid mean? The middle. Mid-sagittal would be down, separating me right and left, but that would be equal. So if I just use the term sagittal, it does not necessarily have to be equal. If I use the term mid-sagittal, sometimes we also call it the median plane, median meaning middle. If I use the median plane, then that does mean that I am dividing the animal equally. Does that make sense to everybody? The next plane is known as transverse, and you guys already know medical terminology. What is trans? Across or through. Trans means to go through. Transverse is the plane that separates my cranial from my caudal. That's the term for upper and lower. Cranial is the term for upper. You don't have to be furiously writing down cranial and caudal. We're going to get to that here in just a second. But my upper and my lower. Dorsal, that's my fancy dance. Going like this. Separates my dorsal, which is the back. I remember that because of a dorsal fin on a fish is on its back. And ventral. To ventilate means to inflate the lungs, which are located in the front. Dorsal, ventral. So I am, every now and then, you already know I'm a big fan of murder and serial killers and all of the horrors. Speaking of horrors, my history class started yesterday. Oh Lord. I have to read 4 chapters in the first textbook by Thursday. It's about 200 and some odd pages. It's not including the 60-page additional information. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. I can do anything for 4 weeks. I can do anything for 4 weeks. Anyway, that beside. So I, every now and then, love like those campy B horror movies. I'm not real big into the slasher movies. Some of you may remember this movie. There was a movie called Ghost Ship.
Oh my God, I hate that movie.
It was terrible. Was that not the worst?
Yeah.
It was a terrible,
Ghost Ship
terrible.
is such a good movie. Stop.
It did give me that.
Ghost Ship. Okay, it was so bad. It was great.
It gave me really bad nightmares.
Okay, so for those of you that have never seen Ghost Ship, honestly, the only scene you need to watch is the first 10 minutes of the movie. Because that's the only good part of the movie. The only great part of the movie is the first 10 minutes. So here's to give you a visualization. First 10 minutes of the movie, it's supposed to be like back olden times, like the 30s. It's an old-time cruise ship, like Titanic, but it doesn't sink. And the people are all having champagne, and they're all dressed to the nines, and they're all dancing on the deck of the ship, and there's food, and it's a lovely gala. And the captain comes out. People are like, huzzah, it's the captain. This adorable little girl goes up to the captain. See how I'm setting the scene for you? Little girl goes up to the captain and looks up at him, and he looks down with this very, very father-like, grandfather-like look on his face and gives her a nod. She steps up on his feet, and they dance together. It's adorable. Except over in the corner, unseen by you, the viewer of the movie, there's this winch, and it's click, 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 winding this metal steel wire, and it's winding it tighter and tighter and tighter until the wire gives and whoosh, goes across the deck. And the people that were standing there eating and drinking and dancing, suddenly the top part of them just slides off. It cut them straight through. The little girl was too short. The wire went over her head. And she looks up at the captain. Well, they cut him right here, and the whole top of his head slide off. It was a great, great scene. What plane did that wire cut them on? The transverse plane. Separating their tops from their bottoms. There was another, now this one I will say was a fabulous movie, 13 Ghosts. Again, if you've never seen it, that's okay. I'll set the scene. This one's much shorter. This character is running, and he stops, and there's like these sliding glass doors, something like that. These panes of glass. The whole house is made of glass. I don't understand it. There's a lot of plot holes in these movies. A lot of plot holes. But he's standing there, and whoosh, the doors close. And he's like, you can't see my facial expression, so just imagine it's a surprise Pikachu face. And the front half of him starts sliding down the window, and the back half of him is still stuck to it. What plane did that cut him on? The dorsal plane. Those are just some visualizations for you for these planes. Now, when we are talking about these planes, yes, it is easiest for us to put them on ourselves. There is a little bit of a drawback to this, though, because ultimately, this is a what companion animal anatomy class. What's the big difference between us and animals? They're quadrupeds, meaning what? They walk on 4 legs. So if my transverse plane separates my top from my bottom. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get back down. All right. And now I'm a quadruped. Now where's the transverse plane? You see how it's now here? It didn't change though, did it? From quadruped to biped. So instead of memorizing it on yourself, because that is going to end up confusing you, learn which of these planes separates what from what. Sagittal separates right from left. Now it doesn't matter how the animal is. If your plane is separating it left from right, it's going to be the sagittal plane. If your plane is separating the head from the tail, transverse plane. And if your plane is separating the back from the front, I just like doing that move. It makes me feel fancy. That's the dorsal plane. Okay, so learn what they separate, not on yourself, because that will end up giving you a bit of confusion. For some unknown, bizarro reason, your textbook thought a kangaroo would be the best depiction to show you these planes. I don't know. All right, so let's look at this. Here we have a plane that is separating the top from the bottom. Do you see how this plane separates the top from the bottom? Tell me the plane that this is.
Can you do it on?
Yes.
Thank you.
Me. I was trying to think if I have a stylet in my office. I do not. All right. Let's see what I can do here. I will do it on here first, and then I will do it on there. All right, so this is the plane right here that I am referring to. Do you see how it's separating? Oh, you guys can see that. Oh, look, fabulous. The head from the tail. If I have a plane, this is the imaginary line, that would be the transverse plane. Here, I have a plane that is separating the back from the front. Tell me the plane. This is our dorsal. And this one is easy to remember because the back is in fact already called the dorsal. Now this square plane, you can't really see it on this picture. This is the plane, if I am the kangaroo, oops, wrong way. If I am the kangaroo facing this way, this is the plane that is cutting me here. Separating what from what? Left and right. Tell me what the name of that plane is. Sagittal. But if I call it sagittal, I know what? It's not necessarily equal. What would it be if the left and right halves were equal? Mid-sagittal or median. Nice job. Oh, I don't think you're going to take eyesight for granted anymore. That's tough. All right, here we have a puppy dog. Let's go through the planes. Here we have a plane separating what from what? Top from bottom. Tell me the plane. Transverse plane. Here I have the plane separating the back from the front. Dorsal plane. Here. Here's my dog. Getting me right here. Sagittal or mid-sagittal, depending. Now there's one last little plane that is a little bit of a cheeky monkey. And that's this plane right here. So the plane that I've just highlighted on this leg is parallel to what other plane? Oh, no, now I'm using math terms. Gosh darn it. Parallel means moving in the same direction. So this is moving in the exact same direction as what other plane? The dorsal plane. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in this. Are you ready? This is not the dorsal plane. This is, in fact, a transverse plane. How can that be? How can that be? Because we know now transverse means separating top from bottom. When we are doing these planes, the animal is in this position. Do you now see how cutting here is now transverse, not dorsal? Does that make sense to everybody? Excellent. Excellent. All right, now we're going to discuss our directional terms. These directional terms are generally opposite. No different than if I come to you as a medical professional and I say, I've hurt my wrist, can you please help me? What's the first question you're going to ask me? Which one? And if I tell you my left wrist, then that's your directional term. So we have these directional terms to help you document any location of injury or illness. Generally, they occur in pairs and have opposite meanings to each other. And they're going to describe relative positions in the body parts. So I'll give you guys a minute. You're furiously writing. Give you guys a second. Let's see, external body parts. What's your eyelid called? Did you guys get into that, external body parts? If that's not school related, please give it away. Thank you. Anyone know what your eyelid is called?
Blepharoplasty.
Nice! Blepharo. So you know that irritating thing when your eyelid goes, what would that be called in medical terminology? A blepharospasm. Nice. All right. Give me a medical term for eye. I don't know how far you are into the externals. You finished them. Fabulous. Give me a medical term for eye. Say it. Oculo. It reminds me very much of that other pretty scary movie called Oculus. Did you guys, any of you see Oculus? Okay, so I have a kindred spirit over here. Oculus. Oh, it was fabulous and terrifying because it really enhanced one of my biggest fears, is that when you would look in the mirror, the person in the mirror was not doing the same stuff that you were doing. And then they'd come out and do bad things to you. But so oculus meant you were seeing it. There's another medical term for eye. Ophthalmo. You go to an ophthalmologist to check your eye. If I have a scope or a tool to look into your eye, that would be called an ophthalmoscope. Give me a term for ear. Oto. Oto means ear. O-T-O. Oto. How about cheeks? Bucco. Nice. Very nice. Oh, here's a good one. Nails or claws. A lot of these medical terms start with the letter O, if that's a clue. Nails or claws are going to be onycho.
Onycho.
Onycho. And so if I have done an onychectomy, what did I do? I've surgically removed the nails. That's the medical term for a declaw, onychectomy. Good job, guys. We're going to pepper in that med term. We got to practice. All right, here I have a list of directional terms. And we are going to go through each of these. And we are going to identify exactly what direction of movement each of these represents. Left, okay, some of these are a little easier than others. I'm pretty sure everybody in here is already ahead of the curve with left. Now, the one thing I do want to make note of is this is not your left. You're referring to the animal's left. I don't care if I'm trying, this Fluffy is limping on its left front leg. I need to know that it's this animal's left leg, not yours. So we definitely need to get into the position if you are facing the animal as you are to me. If this is my left hand, show me your left hand. Yeah, we're in handshaking. So don't do mirror image. Okay, we are not going to be mirror image. Where my left and then that person on the other side is raising the other hand. We need to make sure that we are in handshaking mode if we are facing the animal. We have right. Right, I got to stretch because we're about to do some dance. Cranial. Cranial means towards the head, and you now know the medical term for head, cranium. So anything that's moving towards the head is moving in a cranial direction. Anything that is moving towards the tail is moving in a caudal direction. Caud means tail. Cranial, caudal. Rostral refers to on the face, and it refers to going towards the nose. Going towards the nose. My eyes are rostral to my ear, meaning that they are in more of a direction this way. Does that make sense? So if I'm moving towards the nose, it's going to be a rostral direction. And rostrum is a word for nose. Dorsal, we just did this one. If I have something moving towards the back, that's the dorsal. Moving towards the front is ventral. Medial means I'm directionally moving towards the middle. Lateral means I'm moving towards the sides. All right, deep. I don't really have a dance move for deep. Imagine I have a knife and I plunge it into your abdomen. Okay, just like the murder victim that we're going to be discussing today in our social. He had some pretty significant stab wounds, for those of you that didn't know. It's like 5-inch wounds. Craziness. That would be deep, right? Deep penetrating wound. Deep. And then you have superficial, which would be just on the epithelial layer. Proximal and distal. Okay, I want to spend a couple of minutes on this one because these are really important. You're going to be using these as directional terms when we get into our skeletal system. When you get into radiology, you're going to need to be able to know these directional terms. So we're going to spend a few minutes on proximal and distal. One of the things I do recommend, because you know, the more pathways we get to this information, the easier it is to retrieve the information. Get these dry erase markers. These are fabulous. And draw all over yourself, your significant other, your dog. It washes right off. For those of you in TV land, I will repeat this exercise. I'm drawing an arrow on my arm. And I'm drawing the letter D. And I'm drawing the letter P. Anything moving in this direction is proximal. I am a tree. Remember my interpretive dance where I was a tree swaying gently in the wind? This is my trunk. These are my branches. Anything moving towards the trunk is proximal. Anything putting distance is distal. All right, let me ask you a few questions here. Looking at proximal and distal, tell me, where is my wrist in relation to my elbow? It is distal. My elbow is here, my wrist is in this direction. Where is my wrist in relation to my fingers? Proximal. My fingers are here, my wrist is in this direction. Where is my shoulder? I'm going to put my arm down. Where is my shoulder in relation to my elbow? Proximal. Moving towards. All right, are you ready for a tricky one? I'm going to give you tricky trickster. Where is my knee in relation to my ankle? Proximal. Because do you see? It works the same on my arms and my legs. If I am moving towards, this is my trunk. If I am moving towards the trunk, it is proximal. If I am moving away from the trunk, it is distal. My knee is in this direction from my ankle. Where is my toe in relation to my knee? It will be distal, this way. What about my hip in relation to my toe? Proximal. My toe, what direction do I have to go to get to my hip? This way. Now this proximal and distal really only applies to the extremities, or the arms and the legs, or if we're looking at a dog or a cat, the front legs and the back legs. Proximal and distal does not refer to the trunk, but where is the structure in relation to the trunk? Does that make sense to everybody? Excellent. You ever wonder why these are called the palms of your hands? This is the palm of my hand. That term, you guys have no idea how much medical terminology. Medical terminology is primarily Latin and Greek. But guess what the majority of the derivatives of English are? Latin and Greek. The reason why this is called the palm of my hand is because this is the palmar surface of my front extremity. The bottom of my foot is known as the plantar surface of my foot. You may have heard of like plantar fasciitis. Well, fascia is a connective tissue. So plantar, now we know, means what? I just said it. Bottom of the foot. If fascia is a connective tissue, what is fasciitis? What is itis? Inflammation. Yep, just yell them right out. This is the interactive portion of the show, guys. Yell it right out. So plantar fasciitis is inflammation of the connective tissue at the bottom of the foot. Ever heard of a plantar's wart? Gross. Where are they? They're on your feet. They're on your feet. So ever wonder, if I come in and I'm very angry, and I come in and I'm yelling in a very aggressive manner, and I'm like, you will listen to me. What did I just do with my feet? We sometimes say I planted my feet. Well, why do we say that? The plantar surface of my foot. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get some pretty major pathways forming right now. We're gonna use every pathway tool that I've given you from last week. I am going to show you a directional interpretive dance. Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero. Oof. All right. All right. Left, right, cranial, rostral, caudal, dorsal, ventral, medial, lateral, deep, superficial, proximal, distal, palmar, plantar. Up. Everybody up, everybody up. All right, first thing you're gonna, right there, you wanna get to loose. Get loose. All right, we're gonna go slow using TV land. You can do this too, but don't think you're off the hook. You're doing this first thing tomorrow. And it's non-negotiable. All right, now, I am willing to bet the first two are the ones that are, the first one, seemingly the most simple, is the one that's gonna trip a bunch of you up. I'm just saying that so you be cognitive. Are you ready? We're gonna go slow. All right? Left. See, I told you it was gonna trip because you're looking at me like I'm a mirror image. I need to be handshaking with you. This is my left, show me your left. There you go. Let's try that one more time. Left. Right. Cranial. Rostral. Caudal. Dorsal. Ventral. Medial. Lateral. Deep. Superficial. Proximal. Distal. Palmar. Give me some spirit fingers. Palmar. Plantar. All right, we're gonna do it again. Are you ready? We're gonna go a little bit faster this time. You think you can handle it? Oh, just you wait. Just you wait. We're getting that heart rate up today. Left, right, cranial, rostral, caudal, dorsal, ventral, medial, lateral, deep, superficial, proximal, distal, palmar, plantar. All right, this time, oh, we're keeping to go. We're still going. This time, I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna leave the list up here, but I'm gonna follow you guys. So you guys will say off the word and do the action and I will follow you. Go ahead, 1, 2, 3, and action. That's right here, guys, hooked on phonics. Bottle, I'm following you. Okay, I gotta say, considering you have a word bank up here and we are going in order, that was pitiful. That was absolutely, you got beat out by the first period class, hands down, and they have me at 7:15 in the freaking morning. Pitiful. Shall we try and redeem yourself? Because I am both disappointed and disgusted in your performance right now. Shall we redeem ourselves? Okay, I want a little bit of enthusiasm. This is fun. This is supposed to be helping you remember these directional terms. Because guess what? When I give you your test, this is the stuff that you're going to need to know. I'm going to be asking you things like, where is a dog's nose in relation to its ear? Rostral. Where is a scapula in relation to the hip? Cranial. That's how I'm going to be testing you, and you need to mentally be able to identify these directions. All right. I'm not really disgusted by your performance, but I do think you could amp it up by about 100. All right. Are you ready? I'm following you. Say it. Pathways, guys, remember pathways. We're using auditory. We're using body movement. We're using auditory. That's a lot of pathways we're getting towards this kernel of information. 1, 2, 3, action.
Left, right, dorsal, ventral, medial, lateral, deep, superficial, proximal, distal, ulnar.
Well, that was a little bit better. All right, you guys in TV land did not see what I just did. I turned off the projector.
No, I got the number.
That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. Okay, we're going to do it once in order, and then guess what I'm going to do? We can't just memorize them in order, guys. All right, so we'll do it once. I'm going to say it. You're going to do it. You do understand that part of this is for my own amusement, right? All right. I'm going in order. Left, right, cranial, good, rostral, good, caudal, good, dorsal, ventral, medial, lateral, deep, superficial, proximal, distal, palmar, plantar. How do we feel? Let me see about us. We're going to go slow. We're going to go slow. We're going to do it out of order. You want to do it one more time in order, or do you feel pretty confident? You feel pretty good? Okay. Let's do this. Rostral. That one's on the face towards the nose. Lateral. That one is to the sides. Cranial. Good, towards the head. Distal. That one is away from the body. Medial. Good. Caudal. Moving down towards the tail. Right. You guys are still looking at me like I'm a mirror. Palmar. Caudal. Caudal towards the tail. That's all right. That's all right. We're going slow. Don't get discouraged. We're going slow. Rostral. Cranial towards the head. Dorsal. Lateral. Nice. Caudal. Right. Good job. Proximal. Moving towards the body. Good. Ventral. Nice. Plantar. Left. Cranial. Rostral. Towards the nose. Medial. Good. Distal. Dorsal. Good. Caudal. Cranial. Ventral. Towards the front. Lateral. Good. Rostral. Cranial. Deep. That's my favorite one. You can feel free to add sound effects if you so choose. All right. Medial. Rostral. Cranial. Distal. Good. Moving away. Good. Palmar. Caudal. Dorsal. Towards the dorsal fin, towards your back. Ventral. Nice. Lateral. Good. Rostral. Cranial. Good. Caudal. Dorsal. Lateral. Right. Ventral. Superficial. Proximal. Plantar. Good. Stamp them hard. Are you ready? Do you want to kick it up one? Up one? This goes to 11. Go a little tiny bit faster. You think you got it in you? All right. Just a little bit. I'm just going to go a little bit. Caudal. Rostral. Lateral. There you go. Dorsal. Ventral. Proximal. Nice. Palmar. Cranial. There you go. Rostral. Dorsal. Nice. Caudal. Proximal. Palmar. Rostral. Cranial. Dorsal. Distal. Oh, I thought I'd fool you on that. I did 2 Ds in a row. All right. Superficial. Right. Cranial. Dorsal. Lateral. There you go, to the sides. Ventral. To the front. You got this. To the front. Distal. Caudal. Cranial. Medial. Palmar. Rostral. Left. Proximal. There you go. Nice. Well done. Lateral. Cranial. Rostral. Caudal. Dorsal. Plantar. Right. Palmar. Lateral. Dorsal. Ventral. Distal. Nice. Caudal. Rostral. Cranial. Ventral. Palmar. Left. You guys caught up here. You're doing good. You want to go a little bit faster? A little bit? Okay. Cranial, rostral, dorsal, ventral, proximal, caudal, rostral, medial, lateral. Good. Caudal, proximal, palmar, right. Nice. Plantar, medial, cranial, dorsal, ventral, lateral, rostral. Ah, good. Here we go. Ah. Right. Cranial, dorsal, rostral, lateral, proximal. Okay, you had a question of what was interpretive dance? I'm going to give you an example of interpretive dance right now. Are you ready? Are you all ready? Here we go. Medial, ventral, dorsal, cranial, rostral. That's interpretive dance. All right. You guys can sit down. Great job. Well done, well done. Comments, questions, concerns? So we can bring back our television audience, or on camera audience. All right, now the one thing, I'll do it on here. The one thing that we do need to remember, oh, I need to go grab my stuffed animal. I'll be right back. Be right back. This is my little bulldog. Bulldogs are my favorite breed. Health-wise, they're a train wreck. But a student got me because I said I'd never be able to afford a bulldog. And I've always wanted one. Pet quality, they run about $7,000. And then I couldn't afford the health bills anyway, so they bought me my own little bulldog. So one of the things that we do need to remember is we've just done all these directional terms. Let me get up close here to the camera. We've done all of these directional terms now on ourselves. So what I want us to do is take a look at this quadruped. Right? Quad means four. So if he was like this is how we just did all of those directional terms, right? But what we need to do is manipulate our brains and identify the directional term in our quadruped. So I am going to not draw on you because I love you. Just point in a direction and you're going to tell me what direction. And don't worry, you guys in TV land, we're going to do this. I don't know which camera. I feel like I'm on TV. I'm having an interview. I'm like, I don't know which camera to look at. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it that one? Oh my gosh. It's like The Office when Andy returns. And he's like, it's been so long since I've done one of these. I don't even know where to look. Anyway. So don't panic, TV people. If you can't see what I'm doing, we're doing this tomorrow with you. All right. So if I am moving in, yeah, rostral.
Cranial.
So if it's on the head, if I'm already on the head, I'm moving towards the nose. If I am here, now cranial. All right, what if I'm moving in this direction? Dorsal. Nice. Caudal. Distal. Medial. Ventral. Lateral. Good. Caudal. So we've got, I'll just do it in order. We've got his left. Here. Let's shout it out. All right, so we'll do one more time on the dog. I'll go in order so you can see it. Good. Yes.
So when like dogs and cats will only ever been used like palm and whenever it's like living on their paws.
Yeah, when it's the under surface of their feet, the surface that isn't coming in contact with the ground, that is the palmar surface. So we being bipedals, we walk on the plantar surface of our feet. So do they. But then they also walk on the palmar surface of their hands. All right, does that make sense to everybody? So my recommendation, and we're not quite done yet, I've got about 5 minutes. My recommendation, go home tonight, get you some dry erase markers, get your significant other, have a little fun appropriately, or not, I don't care. I just don't. I don't want to know about it. The best thing for you to do is have them do exactly what we just did here. Have you perform the movements and then have them quiz you. Remember we said the way to really pave that mental pathway, see one, do one, which we've now done. You watched me, you've done it yourself. What was the third one? Teach one. See one, do one, teach one. If you can teach someone else this information, then we've got a pretty well-established pathway. And these are directional terms you are going to be using for your entire career forever. So it is very important that you have this foundational information. Get a stuffed animal. Or, you know what, get your own animal and mark them up. These wash right off, I promise. Make sure you get the dry erase and not the Sharpies. Yeah, made that mistake once. Draw all over your dog. Draw on yourself. It washes right off. But the way that I'm going to be testing you over this information is obviously in words and with pictures. My elbow is where in relation to my wrist? Proximal. My nose is where in relation to my ears? Rostral, what is another directional term I could use? Medial. It is towards the midline. If I ask you to put an animal in lateral recumbency, recumbency is the word we use to lay down. If I'm asking you, I'm just going to throw him, and whoever catches him is yours for 2 minutes. Are you ready? All right.
Sorry.
All right. Show me, and you can phone a friend, show me lateral recumbency. Put that animal in lateral recumbency. Where is lateral? There. That's lateral to the side.
Does it matter, like right to left?
I would always tell you. So that was a fabulous question. TV land, the question was, if I told you to put an animal in lateral recumbency, does it matter if it's left or right? I will tell you left or right. And that side goes down. If I tell you to put the animal in left lateral recumbency, the left side would be down. Very nice. And I'm seeing lots of chats. So I'm going to stop share because I can't read any.
We were just talking amongst ourselves.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now give him to someone else. I don't care who, just toss it or throw it or whatever. Don't spit on him, don't lick him. He's safe. Put that animal in dorsal recumbency. So first off, where's our right? Yeah. Dorsal recumbency. We put him on his back. Very nice. All right, give him to someone else. Show me the direction cranial on that dog. Just make a motion with your hand. There you go. Cranial, moving towards his head. Give him a toss. Good catch. All right, show me ventral direction on this dog. Yeah, towards the front. So this is what you should be doing. Grab a stuffed animal. Practice these terms. The more you practice them, the better you're going to be.
So your dance is on YouTube?
Is my dance on YouTube?
Yeah, your intentional dance.
Well, yeah, because I've recorded the whole thing right here. And I will be posting this on YouTube. And the first period class is also posted on YouTube so that you can see how abysmal your first attempt was. All right, so tomorrow you guys are off campus. You guys are on, where's my camera? You guys are on campus, thank you. And don't think you're getting out of this, guys. Don't think for a second that because you weren't here today, look at me, I'm looking directly into the camera. Look at the seriousness on this face. Okay, most of my face is covered up, but this is my serious look, guys. You guys are doing this tomorrow, so be ready. And because you've already had a whole day, we're gonna start with the jumpy. Start with the jumpy. All right, comments, questions, concerns? Hell of a lot of fun, guys. Thanks a lot. Well done.